Jake come in here and just absolutely start to hit the cover off the ball is one, a testament to who he is. It's also a testament to FFL's opportunity. So if you're new here, if you've got new agents, listen up. You're about to hear a story about a young guy who's basically changed his life in less than 3 months. And I'm sure he's got massive goals, because you don't just walk into an opportunity like ours and hit the numbers he's got if you don't have just massive dreams and desires. So all right, everybody, awesome. Grady Boltz in here, family, First Live America, Beyond excited. Jake Wambaugh?
Wambaugh, close.
Wambaugh. I wanted to make it all 80s rock, 80s pop music. Jake Wambaugh.
I love it.
Good to connect with you, man. Happy to have you on with us. Jake is a new agent to us. What are we sub 90 days? Is that fair?
Sub 90.
Sub 90 days. And last month, he paid over $75,000 on issue paid volume selling IULs. We'll find out what his first month was. We'll find out how it happened. Was it one gigantic policy? Was it 75 baby policies? But, you know, some people choose to change their life, and most people choose to do nothing with their life. And that's right. Just society. And so to have Jake come in here, he's working with Zach, which couldn't be a better mentor he's got. I mean, second one might be me, but well, I love Zach. But to see Jake come in here and just absolutely start to hit the cover off the ball is one, a testament to who he is. It's also a testament to FFL's opportunity. So if you're new here, if you've got new agents, listen up. You're about to hear a story about a young guy who's basically changed his life in less than 3 months. And I'm sure he's got massive goals, because you don't just walk into an opportunity like ours and hit the numbers he's got if you don't have just massive dreams and desires. So I'm going to get out of the way for a minute, but Jake, I'm so grateful for you jumping on. I know this is you're just doing calls and making sales and traveling too, but I wanted to, Zach said you're doing great things, and I respect Zach at the utmost highest level. And so I wanted to have you on, share with us what you're doing, a little bit about your backstory, and then we can maybe jump into some of your word tracks and things you're having that are working and utilizing so well.
Absolutely, Grady. Well, I appreciate you having me. It has been a great ride thus far. I couldn't be more grateful and feel any more blessed than I am to be a part of FFL. And you alluded to it. You know, Zach introduced me to FFL. I had kind of been around the insurance business for a couple of years now, but I'd never sold. I was trying to build a business. I wasn't even licensed, so I wasn't even recruiting people to under me. I did it the wrong way, and so I'm learning from that now. But when I came in, Zach, he was like, yeah, I definitely think it would help you, to sell, lead from the front. And from what I had observed, of all the top, builders, and everybody paid their dues. I hear the horror stories, which I reference to new people that I bring on. I'm like, dude, guys used to, rent snowshoes and book a one-way flight to Ohio in January and have to sell to buy their plane ticket back. Like, we have it so good. And so I took those stories to heart, and I'm like, okay, everyone that built a big business, they all paid their dues. They led from the front, and so I wanted to do the same. And so a little background on me: I grew up in San Diego. I'm an only child. It was just me and my mom growing up. I played sports as a kid. I was fortunate enough to play college football at the University of Washington. I played linebacker there from 2014 to 2018. My last game was January 1st, 2019. And then I got into grad school. I had a little bit of success in business. I had a little recruiting company, but I got out of that, and I didn't really know, where else to look. And so I found insurance, and then, like I mentioned earlier, I was kind of doing it the wrong way. I was doing it backwards, and then got in touch with Zach via social media. So I think it's a really powerful tool. Grady, you do a lot on social media, and you've obviously leveraged that tremendously. I think anyone who's looking to build a team, leverage social media. It's one of the most powerful tools today that we could possibly use. And so that's how I connected with Zach. And yeah, my first month, so I think I got contracted like right after Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And then December was like started first full month. I think I issued 43 in December,
Okay.
and then 75 in January.
All
So
IULs or blend or what?
all IULs. And on case size, I would say varied. I mean, some were smaller, some were larger. It was kind of a mix, but there wasn't like one really large deal or anything like that. It was a blend, but it was all IULs. I mean, in certain situations, having to pivot, to some just general life products, but I could probably count those on one hand. I mean, it wasn't a ton.
Got it.
So
So it's buying IUL leads, I would imagine. Yes.
yep, yes, IUL leads. We have um, some ones that we generate.
Okay.
Zach can get you that link if you want to share that. I mean, I've heard it, time and time again. I mean, no, there's no magic leads. Um, you got to work them. I was talking earlier. I think I don't think that your lead spend needs to be insane if you work them properly, but at the same time, you need to have people to speak to. And so if your lead spend's, really, really scarce, I mean, you're just not gonna have enough opportunities. Um,
Properly for I would love your definition of properly, right? Buy a batch of 30. I get 30. It's Monday. I've got
right.
30 new IUL leads to come in from Saturday till Monday morning. What are you
Yeah.
good? How's Jake gonna properly work them?
So I think the biggest thing with the IUL leads that I've experienced is that a lot of people, we have to think about it, from who we're speaking to. And so a lot of these people that are looking to set up either retirement period or supplement retirement they already have. That's what I would say 85% of the people who are interested in IULs are looking to do, is have some sort of additional retirement income come retirement. So those people who are kind of, it's on them to set up their retirement, independent contractors, business owners, entrepreneurs, they're usually busy people. And
Okay.
so when you get no showed, or when I get no showed, I'm not down about it. I'm like, hey, cool. They're probably a working professional, especially if I've spoken to them on the phone, previously, and I've collected some information. I'm like, hey, I know he, runs this company, or he's in real estate. He probably, had a showing or whatever. Don't get discouraged, but you need to follow up. A good kind of follow-up strategy that I've used is just like, okay, I'll disposition them as, missed their appointment. So they'll get a text. Hey, we missed you, just so they know I called. I will move them over to the next day, like directly slide them over, because chances are if they booked at, noon, their time, that's probably usually a good time to get them. So maybe they just got caught up with something. So tomorrow I'm gonna reach them again. And so I think the biggest thing is understanding the client and what they're after, and not getting too discouraged by a no show, and just say, hey, it's on me. I need to be persistent in following up with them. So
That's awesome. I mean, it's clever, right? Same thing. If in person we used to put on snowshoes and go to Ohio, if you show up at the house, they booked for 4:30 and they're not home. Well, I come back at 7:30 because they live there. I'm gonna catch them
right,
right. Like I'll come back at 8:47 if I need to. I'll just sit at the park down the street and make some more dials for the next day. But they gotta eat, right? So you're coming after them. So
right, exactly.
okay, so let's stay in that vein real quick of the appointment. So when we get the 30, are you going to call all 30? Are you going to put them in a text strip to say, hey, this is Jake. We're just following up on your recent request for tax for your time and income information. My job is to grab some information and find out when a good time to get your options for you. Is that initial
Yeah.
text? Like what's that flow look like?
Yeah, so they're initially put into a drip. that first message is something along those lines. Hey, we got your request for looking into the IUL for, we're looking to set this up for some tax-free retirement, or structure this toward more so for death and living benefits or whatever. And so they'll get that right when the lead comes into the CRM. They'll get a follow-up. I think they'll get something that hopefully will prompt a response. I think for the first 7 days, and it'll be, hey, Grady, just following up. These IULs are fun to structure and in ways that you can, be your own bank and live off interest come retirement. Here's a link to book below, or let me know a good time to chat, something like that. But they're kind of just dripping on them for 7 days, and I think there's another maybe 2 weeks and then 3 weeks out.
Yeah.
But I'm touching them, like you gave the example of maybe 30 leads that have come in, over the weekend, and Monday I'm calling through every single one of them. Usually, morning ish, and then afternoon. And I'm trying to stay on those, and people who have booked or texted back or whatever, who have some interest, I follow up with. But also, even on a slower day, maybe coming back through leads that are 2, 3, 4 weeks old, because a lot of times I'll get a lot of business from leads that are seen as, I guess, aged, or hadn't ever had any correspondence with, but there's still meat on that bone for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, of course. So, I mean, you're working them, drip campaigns, etc., calling them. So then you get them, you get a calendar, it's either Calendly or maybe some internal sort of high level type calendar booking service.
Mm-hmm.
Are you doing one call closes? Are you booking? Are you booking for a Zoom? Are you trying to close on the Zoom? Are you doing a second follow-up Zoom? Like how many touches tell Jake's, getting them bank account routing, and we're going to find out if, get Paramed booked depending on the product.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. So I'm getting them on the phone first. I'm asking a ton of questions. I'm asking, hey, what do you have in place for retirement right now? The goal is, reads here, is that still current? Have you set up anything since you filled this out? I kind of get a financial inventory. Are there going to be any, okay, so it's for retirement. Awesome. So, do you have Social Security coming? Do you have rental properties? Will there be any cash flow producing assets that you already have that we need to account for? So we can just structure this. Everyone, obviously you can't have too much, money come retirement, but we also want to, I want to have a comprehensive idea of what you have in place, so we're not, overdoing anything that we don't need to. But taking that and then understanding the general, health. Now, sometimes people, hey, I'm at work, man. I gotta go, or hey, I'm about to walk into a meeting. I gotta go. Hey, no worries. I'll probably just call them again. I'm not going to book the Zoom. I'll probably call them again because I want to qualify them, and really understand, that they are someone who's qualified, whether it's health or financially speaking, to get one of these, and set this up. But so that first touch is really gathering some inventory, getting a bunch of questions. If they have time, I'm like, hey, we can knock this out, take about 15 to 20 minutes. A lot of times we run this over Zoom. Illustration kind of show you how this works. It's easier than telling you how this works. Some people are like, nope, I just want to do it over the phone. Like, okay, so you kind of just run it that way. Typically for cases that are, $500 or more per month in terms of what they're looking to contribute, I'm like, hey, we need to run an illustration. You actually need to see how this looks, how this works. Yeah. But for some of the smaller cases, yeah, we can totally knock it out if they're younger and they're just like, hey, I just want to start something, maybe $100 or whatever a month. Yeah, it's totally cool. Or if they're, structuring it, they're like, I want a little bit more of a death benefit, or I want it balanced. I have, a fourplex and a 2 million in a 401k and whatever. I just want my financial advisor said I need some life insurance. Okay, we can structure this more towards a death benefit. It's a little bit more of a simple explanation, like, hey, this would be your monthly, contributions. This is what your day one death benefit would be. This is what it would be, closer to, an age of death for most people. So you can do stuff like that over the phone. But when I do get them on a Zoom, I'm running them through everything.
Favorite two carriers, one carrier, three. Oh, you play. All,
Um,
what do you do?
NLG, anything over 500, I'll usually use NLG.
Okay.
Or when somebody's not in ideal health, I'll use NLG just because the underwriting process is a little bit more collaborative. Whereas like an Ethos or a Mutual, they're like, nope. Whereas NLG, we can submit, have a little bit more collaboration with the underwriters because it is fully underwritten.
Yeah.
But I would say for newer people coming on who want to make money, quicker, and maybe those case sizes are a bit smaller. I would say, right with Ethos, maybe a Moo. Um, I don't know what America's coming up with. I'm interested to see how that looks with their IUL coming up, but that's probably what I'd recommend if people need to get paid faster. So that's what I kind of where I would direct some of my agents as far as that goes.
Cool. So, I mean, yeah, we just jumped into it fast, which is awesome. And you gave some background. They're booking appointments. We get them. We're trying to push them to Zoom. What is like your first 60, 90-second open? Because I think that's where a lot of people get hung up. Right? It's how do I open? How do I take control? How do I set the table? What we're gonna do? What's gonna happen? What you need? What I need? And if new agents can go, well, this is what Jake says. I'm gonna start saying that. They're gonna could results not guaranteed, but you can start getting some a path at least to go down. Like when you first
Right.
come on the phone, like it sounds very casual, which it is, but a lot of time, but still with casuality, I don't know if that's even a word, still being casual, there's tact, right? You're trying to
Right.
execute, you're trying to knock out objections, you're trying to take them down a certain path, basically sitting there, palms up at the table, ready to give you bank account information and talk about how they're going to quit smoking so they can get a lower interest, they can get a lower rate and take that extra $80 a month and put it in their IUL. That's the
Right.
ideal goal, right? So what is that first just ring, like, and we don't have to role play, but just what do you say? Like, what's that first 60 to 2 minutes sound like? And maybe what some objections are that you might get when you've got to like, well, this is how tax or retirement income works. This is how living benefits work.
Right.
What are some of those specific sort of word track vignettes that you have that are working for you?
Yeah, so I'll definitely utilize some of the information that the lead has on there. A lot of times they'll have their goal, um, have their date of birth, things like that, email. So if I didn't have, you know, if I had just maybe their email, I'd say, hey, Grady, my name is Jake. I got the information that you requested looking at different tax-free retirement options via the IUL. Can you verify your date of birth for me? A lot of times our leads have these on here. I don't see it here. Um, you know, maybe they give it, maybe they're like, wait, what is this about? Um, yeah, I got your information that you requested on the IUL. I don't have a goal here. A lot of times people will structure this, for an additional tax-free retirement. Sometimes people are more interested in living benefits. I can describe all of this to you within about 90 seconds, but I don't want to, go too much further if this isn't something that's important to you. Do you remember seeing this on social media? A lot of times that's where our clients come from. And, maybe they're like, oh yeah, okay, got it. I remember doing that. Okay, great. Now, do you know much about the product? What was the goal? And I'll get into the questions. Um, but I think that the biggest thing is trying to bring people down to reality because there's a lot of cool, fancy stuff on TikTok and whatever social media. They're seeing stuff about IULs. Oh, it's cool. You can do all this stuff. And
Ferrari and pay for your bank, buy your house with your IUL.
yeah, exactly. Like take out your, cash out, 400 grand of your equity in your home and put it into the IUL and then get it back out the next day. And it just grows interest on this ghost money and like all this different stuff. And so I wouldn't say there's a ton of objections. I mean, in my opinion, when you go in and you kind of describe the product, it does really sell itself for the right person and the right goal. But the biggest thing would be bringing people's, bringing them back down to earth a bit.
Okay.
So
Good.
yeah.
Okay. So say hypothetically, I'm interested in the retirement income. How does that work? How does that? I don't understand how that works.
Yeah. So, what a lot of people will do is they'll make contributions over a set amount of time. We can stop making contributions at any given point. A lot of times, with the cash value that builds over time and the interest you're accruing, it can pay for, the cost of insurance at the end of the day when you want to stop, contributing to that. And so a lot of people like this because you can access it, prior to 59 and a half on like a 401k or an IRA. There's no penalty to access it. And you can actually access it tax free because it is seen as an insurance product and not an investment vehicle. And so you can take a loan against your cash value. Now, you don't have to pay back the loan because if you do pass away, after you take the loan, the death benefit will cover, the loan that you took, and the whatever's left from the death benefit will go to your chosen beneficiary. And I usually say that last part because a lot of people will be like, well, then it's not really your money. Like if you have to loan it and you're paying, interest rate on it, whatever. So I usually put that in there because it's true. You do not have to pay back that loan that you take against the cash value. And if people, push back further, you can kind of explain to them that whatever they're paying in terms of the rate versus what they're, returning on that money that's, growing with the index, you're going to be making money anyways. And so that's where the like be your own bank, comes into play, and you can, take a loan from yourself and pay interest to yourself. And
Rate like 0.5% to take the loan out.
It could be 1-2%, 5%. It just would depend
Okay.
on what rates are at that time. But I mean, if you look at the last, with the NLG product, the last 20 years has returned 15.88%.
It's going to outpace whatever the loan is.
Yeah. So even if you're paying 5%, you're going to outpace it.
It's awesome. Okay. So
Yeah.
that's actually pretty cool. So how long do I have to pay on it for? Like, say I'm 40, right?
Yeah.
How long do I have to pay on it for?
So we could cut it off at retirement age.
Okay.
I'll usually ask like, hey, when do you want to retire? We want to retire at
60.
65, 60,
Or
62.
41, honestly, Jake, but that's not
It, exactly. Well, that's funny too. And that's kind of another thing, bringing people down to earth, right? Is like, well, I'm 36 and I want to, retire at 50, 55, and I want to do 100 a month. And then we look at the numbers like, hey man, we've got to, we've got to be a little bit more realistic here. Or, people are like, yeah, I want to access this, within 30 days. And there's certain like liquidity riders and stuff that you can put in there to have people access their money, quicker. But, they're like, I want to put in $2,000 and then I need it back out in 30 days or whatever. And so you're like, there's cool stuff you can do, but
bed.
yeah, exactly. So, but no, we can cut it off at any time. And the illustration is like your biggest tool when it comes to, showing how it can be structured and how it can work, and you can just play around with it. I use NLG primarily. They have a great illustrator, but if you're someone's like, okay, yeah, you want to retire at 55, okay, I can show you how that looks. But if we work till 62, and you want to stop payments, then let's look at what we'd have in retirement at that point. And so different stuff like that. I definitely use to my advantage the illustrator.
Yeah, I think I mean, you can show the client, right? If you're doing a Zoom, which is why you push for some of these to go to Zoom, because you're like, well, let's just see you said $100. Could you do 200, John? And they go, okay, it's, because sometimes it's their first statement is not their best statement, right? Everyone wants to feel like, how good can you do this with $100? Because then I can take that other 100 and I can go to Suns games and buy beer with it, right? But if you go to less Suns games and drink less beer, you maybe could retire sooner, right? So let's look at $200 or $300 and let's just do them together. Like let's scroll down to 62, see what that tax retirement withdrawal is. Look how it's bigger with the more you put in, right? How well do you want to live in retirement? How long do you plan on living? How long do you plan on working at your job?
Right.
It's awesome. Yeah. I mean, NLG's illustrators, it's pretty too, right? It's all colored and you're like, it makes it really easy.
No, it looks good. And I'll also say, you know, do you have an idea, you know, Grady, of what you're going to be able to comfortably, you know, put into this on a monthly basis? Oh yeah, I'm thinking like $200. But okay, so just for your information, about people, you know, in that age range that you are, we're doing about 500. So I'm going to show you the illustration with 500 and what that would look like. You can always go up or down. I have a wide range of what clients do on a monthly basis. There's no real right answer to this. I'm just going to show you what average looks like. Then people are like, oh, shit, like am I falling behind like my peers, or, you know, is that really, oh man, everyone else is doing that? Like, shoot, maybe I need to be more aggressive about this and pursue my retirement more seriously. And as Sean said multiple times at the convention, peer pressure is the strongest pressure on the man, right? So if you're like, hey, this is average, Grady, let me just show you this, and they're like, God, I'm not even half of average. Like I should probably reconsider that.
So good, bro. That was worth showing up, guys, right? Josh Lockhart asked Hayden Hill one time, and he says to him, how do you sell such big policies? And Hayden goes, I show big numbers, right? You just show big numbers, right? When you make statements like the one you just made, the herd mentality says, I want to be around with social proof. I want to do what other people are doing. And if most people are saving this, plus you can also double down in the angle of this is your retirement, right? This is what you're saving to retire on, right? So if you make $100,000 a year, $80,000 a year, and you're saving $200 a month, you know, you unless you're zero, compound interest, which is the eighth wonder of the world, isn't going to compound enough by the time you're 60 years old to make you enough where you're making enough money where you can pull out 80 or 100 grand every single year forever. So you've got to, like, you know, it's like in dieting and eating well, right? You pay for your health now or you pay for your health later, right? Suffer now and discipline yourself now. And maybe this inspiration of $500 a month might urge you to make better financial spending habits or go pick up extra hours at work so that you can retire. I mean, and this isn't, you're not getting in life coaching lessons with every single client, but the methodology behind what you just said is that you're forcing them to really have a self-evaluation, which is the best, right? When you can get in their head and they go, oh, geez, 100 or 200, you go, most people your age honestly put away 500.
Right. And two, you know, it makes the illustration look a lot better, right? Like you said, numbers, like, you know, Hayden said, well, I just show big numbers. Well, then if we scroll down and it's like, so you'd have, you know, about 1.6 million in retirement. Okay. The last 20 years, this has grown, you know, 15.88%. So let's just say the next 20, it's 10. Okay. But when we get there, if it is, you know, accruing about 10% interest a year on $1.6 million without eating away at the principal, could you live off 160K a year? Did you say your income was 70 right now? I mean, could you live off double your income come retirement? And then, you know, maybe it really is daunting, 500 in their head, but maybe they go from 200 to 350 because that would get them to their 75K a year, right, in income. So it's definitely a good tool to use. And another thing that I use, and I kind of just came up with this, but the way you present things to them and saying, you know, when we do get to that, you know, collecting the banking page and stuff, I'm going to say, you know, what's the best day of each month for you to fund your retirement account, not pay your premiums. This isn't a bill. This is funding an asset. So what day of each month is going to be the best for you to be funding this retirement account? Do you fund other assets on certain days of the month? Right? So putting it in their head that this isn't another bill I'm slapping onto my, you know, Excel spreadsheet if I budget. This is you know, me working towards something that is an asset and it's a part of my portfolio and I can be proud of.
Money, money, Jake. These are good, bro. So future is bright, brother. It was wonderful to hear your passion, your knowledge in such a short period of time. It's apparent you study, you listen, you take notes, you apply, you get kicked in the teeth, and go back and don't let it define you, and go out there and go protect another family. And it's awesome, man. Just want to say thank you, guys. Please blow up the chat below, throw some JWs, throw some 75s, throw some you can do gold jacket stuff, like I've been on
Oh,
this guy. We'll get keep rolling. So Jake, safe travels, and thank you for being able to carve some time out for us. It's everyone's gotten is better because of you now today. So appreciate you, bro. More fun to come. If I can ever be of service in anything you're doing, please don't hesitate to reach out. All right, man.
I will, Grady. Thanks so much. Appreciate you having me. It was my pleasure.
Awesome, man. Have a great day.